the loud ones. They're just noise. The ones who shout the loudest, who demand the most attention. They're easy to spot, easy to predict, easy to bring down. But you're different. You're the one they don't see. The one who moves quietly, who endures silently, who waits while the rest of the world wastes its breath. And let me tell you something unsettling. It's the silent ones, the ones who endure in the shadows, that the world should fear. Have you been underestimated, ignored, overlooked? Good. That's where your power lies. Let them dismiss you. Let them think you're harmless, that you're weak. Because while they're basking in their moment, you're building something they can't even begin to comprehend. I know what it's like. Oh, I know. To sit in the darkness, carrying a weight so heavy it feels like it might crush you. To scream inside your own head while the world around you stays oblivious. You've fought battles no one saw. You've walked through fire while they laughed. And the worst part, they didn't even notice. You swallowed your screams and carried their weight because you thought that's what it meant to be strong. But that storm inside you, it's been brewing this whole time, hasn't it? You see, the world doesn't care about quiet pain. It celebrates the loud, the flashy, the ones who demand attention. Meanwhile, you've been drowning in your silence, waiting for someone to notice. But they didn't. They never did. I understand. I've been there too. I know what it's like to be forgotten, to be seen as nothing but a shadow, to be overlooked until you start to believe the lie they've fed you that you don't matter. But let me tell you something about shadows. They're not just the absence of light. They move, they grow, they consume. And when the light fades, it's the shadow that remains. You're not weak because you're silent. You're not invisible because they didn't see you. You're patient, you're calculating, you're enduring. And those are the qualities that make you dangerous. They think you're invisible? Perfect. Let them. Let them think you're nothing more than a bystander in their story. Because when you rise, and they'll never see it coming. While they were busy making noise, you were building strength. While they were drawing attention to themselves, you were preparing. Every quiet moment of suffering, every silent battle you fought, every scar they left you with, it's all been leading to this. So here's the truth. They don't want to hear the silent storm is the deadliest. And you're that storm. The world loves a show, doesn't it? It rewards the loudest voices, the flashiest moves, the ones who can shout the longest, even when their words are hollow. It doesn't matter if they have nothing to say. As long as they make noise, they'll get the attention, the applause, the rewards. And you've been sitting there in the background watching it all. You've seen the loud ones rewarded for their empty gestures. You've watched as they climbed on the backs of others, stepping over anyone who didn't scream loud enough to fight back. But here's the thing they don't understand about you. While they were busy making noise, you were sharpening your edge. While they were chasing applause, you were watching, learning, and preparing. They value noise, but noise is fleeting. It echoes, then fades. What they don't value is substance, silence, the kind of strength that doesn't need a spotlight. But that's where you've been all along, in the shadows, growing stronger, becoming more dangerous. They took your kindness, didn't they? Twisted it into something they could use. They saw your silence and thought it meant you were weak, that you were someone they could push around. They're quiet, they thought. They won't fight back. So they took what they could, your time, your trust, your heart, and when they had what they wanted, they left. No thanks, no apologies. Just gone like you never mattered in the first place. And the worst part, they didn't even realize what they were doing. To them, you weren't a person. You were a convenience, something they could use and discard without a second thought. But here's the truth they didn't see every time they overlooked you, every time they took advantage of your silence. They weren't weakening you. They were feeding something inside you. Well, that fire, you feel it, don't you? The one burning in the pit of your stomach every time you remember how they treated you. Every time you think about the opportunities they stole, the moments they ruined, the way they made you feel invisible. They dismissed you, underestimated you, ignored you. And with every slight, every betrayal, they were stoking the flames. And now, that fire's ready to erupt. This isn't just anger, it's power. It's the strength that comes from being pushed too far, from being overlooked for too long. It's the quiet rage that doesn't scream or shout, it just waits. And when it moves with precision. They thought they could break you with their cruelty. But all they did was ignite something they'll never be able to extinguish. Look back at it all. The pain, the betrayal, the loneliness. It felt like the end, didn't it? Like you were stuck in a storm that would never pass. But here's what you didn't realize in the moment: that storm wasn't destroying you, it was shaping you. Your quiet suffering wasn't a weakness, it was preparation. Every scar is a lesson. Every tear is a reminder of your resilience. And every time they underestimated you, they were giving you an advantage they'll never understand. Because while they were wasting their energy making noise, you were building something real. Your quiet strength is your greatest weapon. It's the calm before the storm that they never see coming. And when it hits, it won't just make noise. It will leave a mark that can't be ignored. So let them think you're invisible. Let them think you're weak. Because when you move, they'll never know what hit them. Let's get something straight, your silence. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't submission. It was strategy. While they wasted their breath filling the air with empty words, you conserved yours. While they shouted over one another, desperate to be heard, you listened, you watched, you you learned, and now you're ready to act. You see, silence is a language all its own. It doesn't beg for attention, it commands it when the time is right. It doesn't react to every provocation, it waits, calculating, choosing its moment. They thought your quiet was surrender, that it meant you'd accepted their rules, their power, their lies. What they didn't realize is that silence isn't the absence of strength, it's the embodiment of it. You're the volcano lying dormant, the predator stalking in the dark. They don't see you coming because they're too busy looking at the ones making all the noise. But when the volcano erupts, it reshapes the world around it. When the predator strikes, there's no time to react, it's already over. That's who you are. You've been patient, biding your time, building your strength in the shadows. Every quiet moment was another step in your transformation. Every ignored insult, every dismissed effort, every overlooked success, it all added to the fire inside you. And now you're unstoppable. Here's the truth they'll never understand: silence isn't surrender. It's the prelude to domination. They thought you'd stay quiet forever. They thought you'd let them walk over you, use you, discard you. They thought wrong, because silence has a way of catching people off guard. It lulls them into a false sense of security. They think you're not a threat because you're not making a scene. But when you finally move, when you finally let them see the strength you've been hiding, it's already too late. Your silence wasn't weakness. It was the foundation of your power. It was the preparation for your rise. Think about every moment that brought you here. Every time you were ignored, every time you were underestimated, every time someone spoke over you like your voice didn't matter. Those moments didn't diminish you. They defined you. Because now you understand something they never will: strength doesn't have to announce itself. It doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. Real strength is quiet. It's steady. It's undeniable. And when you rise, and you will rise, they won't know what hit them. You're not invisible. You're inevitable. Every quiet moment of pain, every ignored cry, every betrayal, it's all led to this. It's all made you who you are. And who you are is someone they'll never be able to ignore again. Enough waiting. Enough second guessing. Enough looking over your shoulder, wondering if someone else will notice, validate, or applaud you. You don't need their applause. You don't need their permission. You've been waiting for something that was never theirs to give in the first place. Your power, it doesn't come from their recognition. It comes from you, and that's something no one can take. This world loves to distract you, to make you think that being loud, flashy, or seen is the only way to matter. But real power, it doesn't shout, it doesn't beg for attention. Real power is quiet, focused, deliberate. It grows when no one is looking. So take control. Not of them, not of them, not of the narrative they've spun about you, but of yourself. Because once you own your story, their opinions become irrelevant. Pain is funny, isn't it? It feels like a curse while you're enduring it, but later you realize it's the best weapon you've ever been handed. Every time they overlooked you, they gave you an advantage. While they were basking in their fleeting moments of glory, you were working, building, becoming. Every betrayal, that's a lesson. Every rejection, that's fuel. Every time someone laughed at your silence, they only gave you more power. They thought they were winning. They thought your quiet meant defeat. But what they didn't see, what they'll never see until it's too late, is that you've been using every ounce of pain to build something they can't even fathom. Now it's time to move, not with noise, not with fanfare, but with purpose. Start small. You don't need to conquer the world in a day, but brick by brick, step by step, you can build something they can't touch. Every move you make should have one goal: to create something so unshakable, so undeniably yours, that no one, not the doubters, not the critics, not even you on your worst day, can take it away. And here's the thing, you're not building this empire for their approval. You're building it for yourself, for the person who endured every sleepless night, for the version of you that kept going when it felt like the world was against you. Consistency is your ally. Show up every day, even when it feels impossible, because every small action compounds into something massive, something they'll never be able to ignore. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this: the day you finally step into the light, not because you need it, but because your empire is too large, too powerful to stay in the shadows any longer. When you rise, they'll be stunned, blinded by the brilliance of what you've become. They'll whisper to each other, "How did we miss it? How did we not see it coming?" And you'll smile, not out of spite, but because you'll know the truth: they never saw it because they never could. They were too busy looking for noise, and you were too busy creating something real. This empire you're building, it's not about revenge. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about creating a life so solid, so powerful, that no storm, no betrayal, no fleeting opinion can shake it. You are the quiet architect of your own destiny, and when the world finally sees what you've built, they won't know what hit them. This is your moment, your empire, your time. They thought you were done, written off, fading quietly into the background while they reveled in their noise, their shallow victories, their fleeting moments of recognition. But you were never fading. You were waiting, building, rising. You've become the storm they never saw coming, the one they can't outrun, can't predict, can't control. The world underestimated you because you weren't loud, because you didn't demand attention. And that's their mistake, the mistake that will haunt them. Because now you're not just a contender, you're the force that reshapes the game entirely. And what about them, the doubters, the betrayers, the ones who laughed at your silence? Oh, they'll notice you now. They'll notice you in the way people notice an earthquake after it's already leveled the ground beneath their feet. When they see what you've built, when they see the empire that stands tall where they thought there was only rubble, they'll regret it. Every smirk, every dismissal, every betrayal will weigh on them like chains. They'll wish they had treated you differently. They'll wish they had listened, had respected the quiet. But by then, it'll be too late, because you don't need their validation anymore. You never did. Their regret isn't your revenge, it's just a side effect of your success. What you've built isn't just success. It's more than a title, more than wealth, more than fleeting applause. It's a fortress, a monument, a legacy, and legacies. They're not built on noise. They're not built on cheap tricks or shallow victories. They're built on quiet, unstoppable strength. Your empire stands because you built it brick by brick, piece by piece, with every ounce of pain and resilience you could muster. It's yours, it's untouchable, and it's forever. They'll try to figure it out, to dismantle it, to tear it down, but they won't get far. Because this isn't just something you made, this is something you are. And no one, not them, not the world, can take that away. So here's the truth, they'll never admit, they'll never see you coming. And when they do, it'll already be too late. The world doesn't reward the loudest. Not really. Noise is fleeting, it comes, it goes. And when it's gone, what's left? Nothing. The world rewards the strongest, the ones who stand firm while others fall, the ones who endure when others crumble. And here's the truth they don't want you to know. Strength isn't about how much noise you make. It's not about being seen, being heard, or being noticed. Strength is about resilience. It's about how many times you've been knocked down and stood back up. How many times you've been overlooked, underestimated, and still chose to rise. That's what makes you unstoppable. That's what makes you dangerous. Look at yourself now. Really look. You're not who you were. You're not the person they dismissed, the shadow they ignored. No, you've become something else entirely. You're not invisible anymore. You're inevitable. Every scar, every wound, every moment of doubt, it's all part of the armor you wear now. The quiet strength that no one can take away from you. You've walked through the fire, and you didn't just survive, you thrived. You're stronger, sharper, more focused than ever before. And now, you stand in the shadows, not because you're hiding, but because you own them. So what's next? You step into your power. You stop waiting for permission, for validation, for someone to notice you. You build your empire brick by brick, just like you've always done. And when you rise, because you will rise, you let the world feel it. Not with noise, not with fanfare, but with the undeniable force of someone who knows exactly who they are and what they're capable of. You don't need to shout. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You are the quiet storm, the inevitable force, the one they'll never forget. Own the shadows, build your empire. And when you rise, let the world understand this. You're not here to blend in. You're here to redefine everything. Let them wonder how they missed it. Let them regret every moment they doubted you. And let them realize, far too late, that you've become the unstoppable force they never saw coming. The shadows are yours now. The world is yours now. Go claim it.